Hello, my beautiful authors. You guys have done an amazing job of writing this past week, the last week, and the week before that. You guys are getting so much better about thinking through your stories. What am I going to write about? And then writing something on KidBlog. We're going to keep doing that this week too. And I'm excited to see this is your third week getting to write something on KidBlog. And it's just you're going to get better and better and better. And I've already seen so much improvement. All right, guys, today's Monday, which means we are going to be thinking about our writing. We are on the step of pre-writing. So writers, they always think about their writing before they write it down, like before they draft their story, right? They think, what should I write about? And they come up with a bunch of ideas, right? Well, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to think of our ideas. And we've been coming up with our characters, our setting, a problem that happens, and a solution. Because many stories have those things. So we as authors have been thinking, okay, what's my idea? What characters could I have? What setting? Where could this take place? What's a problem that could happen in my story? And how are we going to solve that problem? So we're going to keep doing that as authors. But I am going to add one more thing that we could be thinking about when we write. We're going to start thinking about realistic fiction. So this is stories that are made up, but they seem like they could be real. Okay? So no more monsters, no more toys, no more magic. You could if you wanted to, but if you want to try realistic fiction, it's going to seem real, okay? Even though it's a made up story, it could happen to somebody. And so when we're thinking about our story today, you are going to still think of a character, a setting, a problem, and a solution. But before you do that, I want to see if maybe you can think more about your purpose. Remember when we talked about why we write? We write for so many different reasons. Well, one reason is to talk about issues, hard things that go on in our world, things that people have to deal with every day, some issues. So maybe you want to talk about a big issue. I have 3 different issues that maybe you might want to write about. Maybe you want to include something about bullying because you know that's a big issue that people have to deal with. So maybe in your story, your problem is that one of your characters gets bullied or is a bully because a lot of people are going to understand that and connect with that. So it's an important thing that we can write about. You could also write about poverty, not having enough money. I mean, who has not dealt with that before? Pretty much everyone has dealt with not having enough money for something that they wanted. Do you remember the book that I read to you guys called Sergio's, A Bike Like Sergio's? And he didn't have enough money for the bike? Yeah, that was a book about poverty or not having enough money. Maybe in your story, your problem is that your character doesn't have enough money for something that they want. And then you can write a book that people can connect with and say, oh, that's an issue I dealt with, right? And then the last idea of an issue that maybe you can have in your story is something to do with racism and inclusion. And I wrote these 2 words, which are big words and might be hard to understand. I totally get it. You've probably heard of the word racism before. People define racism all kinds of ways. I'm going to tell you my definition. I'm not saying mine is the only definition or the right definition. This is my definition. So this is something you're going to have to keep thinking about. What is racism? You're going to have to keep thinking as you keep learning, as you keep reading, as you keep talking to people, you'll start to have an idea of what you think racism is. But this is what I think racism is. It's systems or actions, so things that people do, or the way things are, like rules and stuff like that, systems and actions by people that benefit, so benefit means it's good for one race and hurts another race. So remember when we talked about race? Race is the color of your skin. So it's rules and things that people do that's good for one race, one color of skin, but hurts another color of skin. Sometimes that means calling people names because of the color of their skin. Sometimes it's saying, I don't want to be your friend because of the color of your skin. Isn't that awful? Sometimes it's even bigger than that, worse than that. Because we know bad things sometimes happen to people just because of the color of their skin. And that's not okay. So maybe you want to talk about that issue in your story. And I thought of one way that we can address this big issue where people don't understand people who are different than them, or they don't like people who are different than them. Because we all know God created every single person for a reason. We have different colors of skin for a reason. God wanted it that way, right? So one way we can teach people to love each other and not treat other people different because of the color of their skin is we can include more stories that look like people that are not white. And the reason why I say not white, why not white? Well, if you look at a lot of books, you'll notice most of them have characters who are white. And that's great, but there are so many people who are not white in this world. And so it's important to have a balance, right? To have books with every single color, race, and ethnicity in libraries where people can pick up a book and say, oh, I see someone that looks like me, right? Because if we're all important, shouldn't we be in books? Shouldn't someone who looks like me be in a book if I am important? I think so. So maybe you decide to write a book with someone with a character of your own race and ethnicity. So if you're Black, maybe you have a story where your character is Black, right? If you are a different ethnicity and you are from like one of the countries that we've talked about, maybe you're from Mexico and you want your character to be from Mexico so that when someone else reads your story, they're like, oh, I'm also from Mexico. That story reminds me of me. And maybe you use the Spanish so that, again, it connects with someone else. So these are three big issues that we can be thinking about when we're writing. Okay, bullying is big, poverty is big, not having enough money, and racism. So let's think, maybe you choose one of those. You don't have to pick one of those, but sometimes writers can pick an issue, something that matters to them that they want to talk about in their story. So I'm going to do that too. I'm going to go to my writing and I have brainstormed. I've thought of my character, setting, my problem, and my solution. That is what you're going to do today. And I have in mind racism because I want people to know more about people who speak Spanish. I want them to know more about me and to have me in a book that reminds me of my life and my story so that other people can know, hey, my life is important. What I've experienced is important. So I had my character, her name is Monica, which is a Spanish name. That's actually my cousin's name. That's how I thought of it. So my character is Monica. My setting is at a house at a fiesta because my family used to go to lots of parties, dance parties, and so that's where I want my setting to be, at a house at a fiesta. The problem is I'm worried about dancing in front of my friends. This happened to me a lot. My mom and dad would tell me to come dance with them, and we'd be dancing our salsa and merengue, and they'd be like, Daniela, come over here, come dance with us. And I'd be like, oh, I don't know, my friends don't like to dance because most of them didn't. I was the only one who would ever dance, and I'd get all embarrassed and scared. So I want that to be my problem, that I was worried about dancing in front of my friends. My solution is I decide that dancing is something I love, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Okay, I've thought of my character, I've thought of a setting, a problem, and a solution. That is what you need to do today, boys and girls. If you do anything at all, it's that. Come up with these 4 things so that tomorrow, when you go into KidBlog, you know what you're going to write about. You already have a plan, okay? Today is your day to plan. I need to see you get on the seesaw. You're going to add a response. And I need to see your character, your setting, your problem, solution. Follow along with me. Write down the word character and then write someone down. Write down the word setting. Write a setting down. Write the word problem. Come up with a problem that could happen. Maybe you use one of our issues. And then come up with a solution. How does it end? Okay? You guys got this. I can't wait to see your ideas. Like I said, we have some amazing authors in our midst. I am like, man, oh man, we need to get these out to other classrooms so they can read what amazing stories you guys come up with. Get to thinking. I'm excited to see what you have.